everyone, welcome to another episode of OnForm, brought to you by Formfunction, hosted by Duel of Doves with Luke and Omar. And today we have the special, the talented Miss Caroline. How are you today?
Hey guys, I'm pretty good. I'm a bit tired, but overall it's pretty okay.
Well, hopefully we can
Yeah,
get some energy into this
yes,
conversation. Hopefully
for
we can,
sure.
get
Definitely,
No,
energized.
I'm pretty pumped. Like I'm tired, but I'm like a bit stressed about like, I mean, with energy, like the
Nah,
anxiety, but it's okay.
awesome. So I'm personally very excited to have you here. So thank you so much for giving us your time. I guess for those who don't know you, it'd be great if you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about what you're currently up to.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Carolina.
Oh, Carolina. Okay.
Yes, Carolina. It's okay. Like Caroline, Carolina. I'm okay with it. Like,
Okay.
yeah. So I'm a 3D animator. Like I'm a professional 3D animator working for VFX. I work for Framestore at the moment, which is a company that makes movies and TV series for Disney, HBO, and different like big clients, Warner.
awesome.
And yeah, I've been working with them already for 5 years. It's pretty cool. Like I really like my job. It's mostly about making creatures. So it's about hyper realistic animation. Like right now we were animating some quadrupeds like a leopard or birds. Like they have to look really good. Like the idea is not to make shitty VFX, but like they would like you cannot see what's happening. Like, oh, that's really bad. No, it is to make them look good. Yeah, so I am currently doing that, and well, on my free time, I love to do my own stuff, like cartoony stuff. I love to do drawing and mostly animation too. Like after my day job, I continue to do more animation. It's just like my job tends to be a bit more strict, like in terms of what we need to do in terms of realism. So
Sure.
I like to go all the other way with my own art. Like I like to go crazy a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I had no idea you worked as a kind of visual effects animator. Are you cool to maybe talk us through the project you're working on at the moment, or do you need
I
to maybe keep it under wraps?
I think so. I think we can. Like it's a project that it's already out. I mean, it's a TV series.
Okay.
I work actually with, I don't know if you know these guys, like Julian Deragon, Weird Toys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are co-workers. He's
Oh,
a senior
awesome.
animator, so he knows more.
Oh, awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's a great animator. And then my supervisor is already on the NFT world. You know Nick Cavana? He's he's behind Claynosaurs. So it's
I'm
it's
not
the
sure.
3D dinosaurs.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it's another NFT project, but
We'll look them up afterwards.
yeah, no, I feel like maybe you've seen, but whatever. It's
Wait, does he wear does he wear an elf? Is his avatar one of the elves? One of Formfunction's elves?
no, it's a dragon,
Oh,
but
okay.
he was with what's the name? The zombies NFTs. I forgot. Well, it doesn't matter. Like, so yeah, I like currently we're working with don't know if you watch his Dark Materials, the TV series.
What's it called again? Sorry.
His Dark Materials.
His Dark Materials. No, where?
No, I'm not sure.
It's
Where
like
is that
based on.
broadcasted?
Did you watch Golden Compass?
Yeah, Nicolas
Yeah,
Cage.
maybe it's no, I don't know. I think
No,
it's
that's the Nicole Kidman's in that one, I think. I don't know.
It's okay. It's not like a super no show. It's with a polar bear and they fight and do a bunch of stuff. But so it's
Right,
like the
okay.
third season of that show. So
cool.
it's so it's based on a book, and we're working mostly with London people and doing a bunch of creatures, super awesome polar bear and leopard and a snow leopard, and I can link the show later. Like it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Do you think the realism that you do at work feeds into your sort of like more NFT stuff? Because what comes to mind is the flow of your work and how everything is so smooth and the way it animates. Like it doesn't look real, but it feels real. So do you think maybe there's a connection from like what you do in the realism side to to how you execute on your side stuff?
No, like my job fits like animation. It's a whole discipline, and like what we need to do at work, it needs to be good animation, like with weight. It needs to feel like right. It needs to feel like the character is thinking, like the curves are all soft, like there's easy ins, easy outs. There, like all these principles apply to any kind of animation. So from work, I learned how to make things look professional, like because that's what I do. Like I need to make things look super polished. So that applies also to my animation work after work. I try to make things look really, really polished, and that's why it takes me so long to do anything. Because it's just a long time to do any animation, mostly 3D.
You can definitely see the quality in your work. Like when I was just browsing through some of the listings you've got on Formfunction, and to what Luke was saying, that seamless flow and the actual animation itself is just so smooth, and it's just such a pleasant to look at.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I try to put everything I learned, because it's been hard work to learn it and put it back into the NFT. I mean, I didn't mean them to be NFTs. Like we can't, like the 3D animations, they were made just for fun, and my boss actually, he was like, hey, you should try to put them as NFTs. Maybe it will work. And they work.
And was that Julian or Nick that got you into
Nick.
it? Okay, cool. Okay.
So was that your entry into NFTs, or is that how you kind of like learned about the space?
Yes, it was because of him. He was super nice. This year, like he became a supervisor, so I was working with him, and he just told me like, hey, you should maybe try. And he showed me, no, you can go back a little bit. Like he told me about the NFTs, and then he showed me Maxwell's work, because Maxwell is also a 3D animator. He paints, but his actual job is also animation. He does, I think, for video games. And he showed me what Maxwell was doing, like a Formfunction page, and that was back in March, I think. When they were like super small, like when they just have the first wave of artists. And he showed me that, but I didn't know anything about it. Like I didn't know any, like I knew about NFTs, like what everybody hears about, like, oh, it's bad for the environment. This is bad, don't do it. Like that's the only thing I had in mind. And then he told me, no, there's Solana, which is, low carbon print, and it's not as bad as Ethereum in that regard. So I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know there were another cryptocurrencies besides Bitcoin. So it was all new. Everything was super new to me.
Awesome. Well, before we get into kind of your journey into NFTs and kind of listing stuff on Formfunction, maybe take us back a little bit. We wanna learn more about yourself and kind of like your upbringing and your influence and stuff. So take us back as far as you'd like, and just let us learn a little bit more about you.
Wow, it's been a super long journey to get where I am. But so like this, so I'm from Colombia, from Bogota, Colombia. It's a pretty cool country. I really like it. If you guys can go It's beautiful.
I'd love to.
So yeah, I was born there, and well, I always wanted to do something artistic. Like I'm one of those typical kids that is just drawing all the time and watching cartoons all the time. Like my mom told me that when I was like 3-4 years old, they would just leave me in the crib and watch cartoons. So I guess that just got into my head, and I always wanted to do something to do with cartoons. Like
Amazing.
yeah, I grew up watching anime like everybody else, like Dragon Ball Z, Sakura Card Captors, Sailor Moon. All these anime shows really influenced me, like ton. To this day, I keep watching anime. So so the thing is, I started like when my dad, he's a systems engineer, so we always had computers around the house. And my mom, she works in a library, like she's always been like a clerk for libraries, and that means that she has access to all these books, including books about technical stuff. So that's how I got my first contact with 3D animation, was because she had books with 3ds Max. Like that was the software at the time. So it was like when I was 15, maybe, I started like reading these books and started doing stuff on my own and getting the hang of it. And when I was in my last years of high school, my dad, they've been super supportive. I wouldn't know where I would be without them. And my dad, he paid some classes for me to take at night. So while I was in high school, I was studying at night school 3D animation. And then I graduated from both at 17, so high school and the 3D animation school. And I started working right away. Like I never stopped working since I was 17. So yeah, it's been, I'm tired, that's why.
So
working.
So straight away out of high school, you got into the workforce. So you didn't go into kind of like the next level of university or anything like that. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was. I wanted to go to university, but college is really expensive in Colombia, and the public schools that are really hard to get into. We're a ton of people in Bogota. The amount of people, it's absurd. So to get in one of the public schools, I tried, but I couldn't get in.
Sure.
So I was like, whatever. There was YouTube at the time, so I was like, I'm gonna keep learning on my own animation. But at the time was mostly 3D. It wasn't specifically animation. So I started working on advertising, because that's the only thing there was in Colombia at the time to work in 3D. But it was pretty cool, because as a 17-year-old and having like a big-ish paycheck was like, oh my God, I'm working. This is the best, because I will buy stuff for my parents and like, hey, I bought this microwave, I bought this other thing. It was really cool.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that. Getting into the workforce straight out of high school, how is that transition? Because you're still a teenager, you're still enjoying your teenage years, and you're hanging out with friends, I'm assuming. So how did that transition go from like being not necessarily a kid, but like a teenager doing teenage things, to like a hardcore 9 to 5, where now you're getting a proper paycheck and stuff? Like, was that difficult?
Not really. I was like the shy, kind of emo teenager in high school. So I was like, oh, nobody gets me, nobody understands me. I'm so edgy. So I was like, I'm so different. I'm not like the other girls, like that kind of stuff, which nowadays I guess it's a phase, I guess. So it was actually, I was super happy to start working because I was like, oh, these people, these are artists, these are my people. So in a way, it was good because, well, the friends I made were mostly from the high school, and from high school I kept a couple of friends, but no, it was super cool to work because you had the money, and as a teenager, well, to me was amazing. Those years for me were the best. I don't regret anything. It was
awesome. I just want to confirm. I might have missed it, but what specifically were you doing in that job? Like, what was the role?
Oh, yeah. So my first job was in the same school I was working, and my first job was actually it was a teacher. I was like the teacher at that nice school for people that were like 25 and on, and so they were like,
cool.
What the fuck? You're 17 and I was like, well, I don't know, but the thing is that at the time I look older, so I don't know, people didn't know it, and I acted all like cool, and yeah, I know everything. My ego was through the roof at that time. Like I felt like at the top of the world, like I'm the best animator. There's nobody like me. It's so cute.
I like that.
But it was like that.
No, that's
I don't
good.
mind that,
You
though.
knew back then, yeah.
Yeah, like I see. This whole like tall poppy syndrome. I think us growing up in our era, like I think to brag or to be boastful about something is seen as a negative. But
Yeah.
I never saw it that way. I'm just like, if you're confident in yourself and you've got a skill set that you've owned and you're doing it in a really good way, why not talk about it? You know, why not celebrate it?
Yeah. No, you're right. It's just at the time. Well, I think it was maybe too much for my skill. My skill level was like, no, I'm not actually that good. So,
yeah,
but
so
it was
fun. Pushed you on though. It's actually bringing up a memory for me because I worked straight out of uni as well. Sorry, out of high school. I went to uni later in life, and but I was on the opposite end. I went to like a boring admin council job, like a local government style job. And I was like a cog, and the best thing I learned from there was that I am not suited to be a cog, and I will not be a cog in the system kind of thing. But the funny thing is, to your boastfulness, I remember, see this wall behind me with all like the kids' drawings? I remember being at that job, and all the side hustle like design that I would do, I would put on the wall around my desk. So it's kind of like a shrine to myself of like, I'm gonna get out of here. But thinking
like,
back
this
to it,
is
it would have
not
been
me.
yeah, but it would have been so cringe because my work back then was really, really, really bad.
Yeah.
And like I wonder what people thought about me, but like I knew like I'm not gonna be here for that long. It's
How
good
old
to
were you?
reminisce. It was straight out of high school. So out of high school, I would have been like 18. So it's same type of thing. I was an archive officer, so that just means I would sentence files to when they get burnt. It was really really boring.
I think, I feel like you get what I meant, like with I'm awesome, like it's, and then you see it back. Oh, it's so bad. It was really bad, but you feel like you are doing something so different.
Exactly.
Like like
Well, back then all I was doing was making people's birthday cards. I was like Canva now, like I was just designing people's birthday cards, and I felt on top of the world because I could use Photoshop, and no one else could.
that was enough. You were like, you guys, you don't know how to use it. I know. So,
so going back to teaching was the first job that you got out of high school, and then you went into an advertising agency after that.
Yeah. So after that, it was. I had many little jobs at the time, like 2 months. It was a mix between advertising, TV series, educational content for the government, and like this kind of stuff. And then I got to an advertising agency. That was crazy. Like that was like 6 months of my life, but they were burning my brain because I will never go back to work for advertising.
Same here. I can relate. Yeah. It was one of the first jobs out of university. I went in as like an account executive, which is like a junior suit.
Yeah.
But it was just so
Yeah, I
toxic
know
of
account
environment.
executive.
Yeah, like I'm like cool, like an advertising agency, so I get to like dress up and look cool, and you know, you,
Yes,
put a collar shirt on and like leather shoes, and be in a cool environment. I get in there,
you went like,
they
oh,
got and they got me like proofreading, um, these like print ads, and I'm like, do these motherfuckers know that my English is my second language? A, and B, I'm not very good at English, and C, this is not what I want to do. So, anyways, after 6 months, they let me go because it just wasn't working out.
which is your first language? I thought you were Australian. Like,
No, Arabic. I speak Arabic.
I
Mm,
didn't know. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, it
yeah,
makes
thank you.
sense for your name.
Well, a lot of
But
people
yeah,
think I'm Spanish or South American because Omar is used quite a lot
yeah,
in
but Asadi,
Asad, yeah, that gives it away.
no,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. So okay, so you're in advertising for 6 months. You had a
Yeah,
small jobs here and there. Okay, and then where to from there?
and then I went to actually my first job animating, which was like after 1 year and a half, like jumping between jobs, I realized that what I wanted to do was animation, like
Okay.
from the whole pipeline, because you can be a modeler, you can be a rigger, you can do environment, you can do whatever. Like I learned, actually, those years were really useful for me. Like that what I learned, like as a 3D generalist, because nowadays I can use it. That's what I use to do my stuff. But we can talk about this later. But yeah, so I started working in advertising, and then what was afterwards? Oh yeah, video games. Like I started working. There was a company at the time called Immersion Games, and they did games like at the time was something really really cool, and they still do, but under another name. Games for PS2, no PS3, and
Okay.
that was like in Latin America there weren't any other companies doing it, so it was a big deal. Everybody wanted to work for them, so to me it was amazing. Like I got to work with these people who are really professionals and really know what they're doing, and they were amazing. Like there was a hub for the Colombian artists there in Immersion Games. Like those artists nowadays are spread all over the world. Like we are everywhere, because there was one of those times that everything just happens. Like everybody just gets together and to create amazing stuff. So I
What
worked.
game did you work on? What can you talk about the games that you worked on?
Yeah, they weren't that famous. They were like I worked in a game called Lucha Libre. It was like a wrestling game.
Okay.
And yeah, it was so fun to work with that. Like I remember, like it's just you see like all the movements when they go like this, and all the everything, all the stuff we had to do it. We had to act it sometimes, and at that time we didn't have motion capture, so we had to do everything by hand. So yeah, we worked on that game, and then there were another 2 games, but they were smaller, so it wasn't that much like that known. And that was 2 years. So I was 19, 19, 20 until 21. I worked with them, like, and then they went bankrupt.
Oh no!
Oh damn!
Yeah, I was super sad because they had to pay us with computers. Like they had to like they didn't have any money left. Like they had to give people like whatever they had in the office. So it was very sad. But that's like and at that time I bought an apartment. Like I remember I got a mortgage for this tiny studio, and I was super happy. I was like, yeah, I have my own apartment, because I always wanted to move out of my parents' house. Like I wanted to have my
And how
own
old
place.
were you at that point?
I was 22, like when that happened.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but the company went bankrupt like 2 months after that. So I was with this huge debt of this apartment. What I do now? Yeah. So, but that was fun. Like things turned out pretty well because after that I got a job again in an advertising company because there's nothing else in Colombia at the time, and they paid really well. So that allowed me to keep my apartment, to keep paying, and I worked with them like for another 2 years. It was a lot of, it was all advertising, like product placement, and I went to some shootings, and it was really hard, but it was fun at the same time. It was for a TV, like it was an advertising company, but it was for a TV chain, like a really big one.
Right. So growing up and like doing what you're doing, was there a big scene of that? Like, is it a lot of you guys that do kind of visual effects or animations and 3D growing up, or was it a very small kind of tight-knit community?
Super small, like we are. Okay. But I know nowadays there's way more, but I don't know them because like I went out. So, but at the time,
So I think what I'm trying to get at is, I think being in that tight community and being sought after in terms of your skill set and things like that, that allowed you to kind of probably excel very quickly because you're working with a skill set that a lot of people were after at the time, given that there wasn't much to choose from, and not obviously to discredit your skills because your skills are beyond this world, and we'll get into that soon. But I guess the stars almost aligned for your career and kind of where you are right now in terms of Launchpad.
Yes, that's something I think often, because there was a time I was thinking like, I should have gone to university, I should have do this or that, but it couldn't have happened any other way. That's just, it was my path. It is what it is, like, and it was an excellent path. So I don't have any complaints about it. So like after that, I work with a TV series company where I met my current husband, my only husband, my husband. I haven't had any husband. So I met him
in Colombia.
Yeah, we didn't. I mean, we were boyfriend and girlfriend at that time, like it was 2013, I think. And he was the one who made me drop this attitude of I'm the best of the world and I don't need to learn anything. He was like, no. There's people, if you want to go out of the country, you want to be really good, you need to really study. Like he was adamant about it. Like he was like, no, you need to, like, but it wasn't in a mean way at all. He's an animator too, so he was conscious about the skills you need to work at a professional level outside the country. Because one thing is working in Colombia with a small company. Another thing is working like I do nowadays. It's completely different.
Of course.
So after that, you see, I told you it was a long story. So.
No, we're enjoying it.
Just before we move forward, though, can you maybe break that down a little bit? So once you had that mindset shift of like, I need to start learning from your husband's advice. Like, what did you do to gain that knowledge? Like, what were the steps?
Yeah. So at the time, I had there wasn't. I don't know if you guys have heard maybe about Animation Mentor. It was like the first online animation school ever. Like there was they started like in 2006, but that was stupidly expensive. Like if you convert dollars to pesos, like Colombian pesos, that was like nobody can pay that. Just very capable people with lots of money.
Yeah.
So I did the next best thing, which was like there was a class that I heard about. It was online too. I was like 6 months with a teacher called Brandon. I don't remember. No, Stephen Gregory, and he's a Pixar animator. So that was my first contact with a professional, like somebody who knew what he was doing. So the class was a bit expensive, but not nearly as the other classes. So I took that class, and that was the aha moment. I was like, I suck. I don't know what I'm doing. But this is like, well, no. And that made me very sad. It's like, oh no, because you just fall down, like all this vision you have of yourself just down, like all this ego just bad. But from there, you start building again, building with like humility. The humility that brought me, was very good. It was very good and bad, because sometimes I feel like I shouldn't, like what Omar was saying, like sometimes that confidence is actually good, and maybe not having it completely is not that good. So so that's how I started like studying. It was like that.
Sure.
Yeah, awesome.
And all the experience and stuff you gained from Colombia, and having met your boyfriend at the time, who's also an animator, did you start to have plans in terms of what that future could look like for yourselves, like in terms of, maybe working together or going overseas to do something,
Yeah, well, I was 23 at the time, so I had all these plans in my head. Like at the time I started, I was studying French, because I had this dream of going to France to study in Gobelin, which is a huge animation company school. But I was a bit naive, because it's really hard to get to that point. Again, money. You need the money, and you need a lot. Like you need to be extraordinarily talented. Like this super outlier. So I wasn't at all like that. But I always wanted to get out of Colombia and work in big companies. But sadly, like at that time, I realized that I thought, if I don't have a college degree, it will be like what you heard from third world countries. It's like you need a college degree, and that's it. Like, and they need to pick you up and between all these people and bring you to the country. Like they need to sponsor you if it's gonna happen. So I was like, who is gonna sponsor me? Like I'm nobody. So I kind of gave up that dream at the time. I don't think it's gonna ever happen. So what our plans were like, maybe let's stay in Colombia, and then let's get super clients and do freelance. That was the plan. So it was like, it's fine. If it doesn't happen, doesn't happen. But there was a couple of friends of ours that moved to Brazil to work for a big company. And then they told my boyfriend, like, do you want to come to Brazil to work too? And we were dating, like we just have dated for 3 months. And we moved to Brazil without knowing a word of Portuguese to live together. So,
wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was an adventure. Like living in Brazil was like another boom in my life, because it was, I didn't know what. Like you feel like if you know Spanish, you know Portuguese. No,
totally different.
They're different. Like you can go get by, but no. But so, but we moved and we fought a lot, and it was a period of chaos, complete chaos, because you don't know what you're doing. So, but it was fun also, because at that time I wanted to continue my education. So I heard about these animation classes that they were given by these animators who work also for Disney and for the companies I wanted to work for. and they were very affordable. Well, because they were more affordable because they were on the currency of Brazil, which is more closer to ours, so it was easier to pay. And so I started taking those classes with Fernando Herrera, who is now one of the supervisors of where I work now. So it's crazy to see how just crazy to see how the points just keep like what Steve Jobs said, but I forgot what he said. You know the phrase, it is when you see back and see all the points. I don't know. I'm paraphrasing.
I'm not sure which phrase you're referring to, but I think I get what he's like. Just the points connecting again, or things coming back from the past.
So the serendipitous moments, I guess, that when you look back, kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. So something like that. But so it turns even better. I was always super salty for not being able to study in these big online schools, but studying with these guys in Brazil was super different because they took care of each student we were special for them. So they really took us under their wing. They really explained stuff slowly. It wasn't one after the other after the other, like it happens in online schools usually, because you're just one more. In this case, they were really because they wanted people to be prepared to work the professional level, and they really, I don't know, I really appreciate that. They give opportunity to people in Latin America.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so in Brazil, your partner is working, you're studying, with your animation. Oh, you were working as well?
Yeah, I was working freelance for Mexico at the time. I work in video games again. I was working there.
Yeah. Okay. Working for a Mexican company out of Brazil.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then from there, you guys ended up in Canada?
Yes. We stayed 2 years in Brazil, moving from city to city. We moved through 4 cities in that short time because my husband contract was finished. Also the company went bankrupt. Sadly.
Oh no! What's up with these animation companies?
I know, it was so sad. So we didn't know what to do. We were do we go back? Do we keep trying? So we decided to keep trying. So he found I was following him in his jobs. Sure. Wherever he found a job, I would follow because I had my laptop with me. That was enough. And we would live in these small rooms. We wouldn't even rent an apartment. There were small rooms in places that I think they were pretty sketchy at the time.
Like a hostel type of thing, or?
Yeah, it was rooms. It was there were buildings that would rent rooms. So it was shared bathrooms with other people. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that sounds a little sketchy. Yeah.
It was a bit sketchy, but
okay.
Yeah, for 3 years that would have been tough for a 3-year period.
Yeah, it was 2 years, but still, I think the moving around made it not that bad because we were just everything that we owned was always ready to be in a backpack in a bag. So
that sounds so liberating, man. Whenever I hear stories like that of people very, very carefree, just minimalist, just traveling around, just the practicality and the skill set that comes with it, just so good. I'd love to do something like that one day, just to kind of experience it. That must have been really cool to do. But a lot of South Americans have that type of thing about them, don't they? They can just kind of up and leave, and they're very adventurous. No?
Yeah, I that was my dream. Actually, that was after kind of ditching the dream of working in the first world country. I was I will travel around and work with my laptop. That was what I wanted to do at that moment, and thank God I did. It's crazy because it's not that easy to do, and it was beautiful. It's just we will go around but at the same time was super tough because
course,
every time like to put your life in a bag is not like, it's super hard, and after a while you get sick of traveling and doing the same because you want a home.
So you're traveling the world, you're honing in on your skills, you're enhancing your skill set, you're getting jobs here and there. You end up in Canada right now. How long have you been in Canada for?
7 years already.
Oh wow. Okay, so Canada is home in comparison to the other countries you've been to.
Yeah.
Okay,
The other country I was only Brazil. Like that's the only other country I've been.
Okay.
And yeah, that was 2 years, and then the same friends that brought us there then kind of brought us to Canada. They just sent the job offer, and as I mentioned, like I thought without a college degree you couldn't do it. Like there was no way. But there's these things called work permits. So if the company is desperate enough, or if they really need people, Canada will just allow it. Like, if you're a sponsor, just coming, and that's what happened. Like, that was like, I remember my first day in Canada was crazy because I thought that will never ever happen, like at all. It's just and then seeing the snow for the first time. That was so cool. Like feeling that kind of cold, I never experienced that before either. Like it's so different. Like it's hard to describe that.
Absolutely.
That change.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you being in South America and the tropical weather you're getting over there to like being in North America, it's just, we've got friends in Canada that we speak to on a regular basis, and the way they describe the winters over there, it's just sounds awful. Yeah.
I hate winter.
So you're in Canada now, 7 years. You're, in my opinion, one of the top animators on Formfunction at the minute. Like your work is just, it's amazing.
For sure.
And obviously following your journey. So let's talk about your NFT journey. Talk us through how you got into it, how you kind of developed your style. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, for sure. It's been like, compared to my life journey, it's been very short. I guess like it's just been this year. So, but in NFTs, feel like it's been a long time. But no, it's been only 6-7 months, I think.
Yeah.
So it started because of Nick Cabana. He was adamant that you need to get into this. You will have a lot of success. I know it. And he then told me to contact Maxwell. And Maxwell is amazing. Shout out to Maxwell. He's awesome.
He's a really cool dude. Yeah. His episode's going to be coming out probably either after this or before. We still don't know, but he was on the roster too. Yeah.
That's so cool.
That was a good chat with
I want to hear. Yeah, I want to hear about him too, because I don't know much. I just know like this mushroom guy. That's it. But he's awesome. So he was super patient with me. He explained to me how things work. But even so between Nick telling me and meeting Maxwell, Nick put me in contact with Kat from Formfunction, and she was super cool too. Because I didn't know about how to create a wallet or anything of that, and she sent me all the tutorials how to do it. And I sent her my work, and she was like, "Oh, this is really cool. I think if you want, we can put you with the second wave of artists from Formfunction." So it was with Joyce, actually. Like it was that wave of people, like the people from the kitchen, I guess. That's all these people. Like I feel like we all started like kind of at the same time on Formfunction. So I had like, they told me, okay, we're gonna launch a thing, for example, next Tuesday, and I was like, I need to prepare the pieces. Like I have these animations with this cat doing these things, and I have this other animation with like an old 2D animation, the one with the blue hair. And I was like, I think that's cool too. So I'm gonna just put them together, and then I mint them. I did the whole thing. Everything was a mystery. I didn't know what I was doing, but I created the account. I did everything, and Nick was telling me like, hey, you need to write a good bio. You need to create your Twitter account. You need to promote. At the time, I was so like clumsy with that, because I had no idea. Like, you had to promote. What is that? You have to write about it. You have to tell your friends. But at the time, Nick took charge of promoting my work. I remember he's part of Dead Fellas, which is a Ethereum PFP thing, community, and he kept promoting things with them, and with his team at Claynosaurs, he kept promoting like to everybody. Like he was like, yeah, I want to make you be successful. So he was also Maxwell was promoting it, Julian too, all of them. And yeah, so I did that, and then the date of the auction came, and I was like, how much do I charge for this? 1 sol, 0.2. I have no idea. No, and then Maxwell like, no, I think 3 sol was okay. I was like, are you sure? I was like, yeah.
As a reserve, it was 3 sol?
Yes, he was like, put the reserve of 3 sol. Yeah, I don't know. But then I did, and that was crazy. Like, sometimes I feel like a one-hit wonder because that just exploded. Like, I got my ATH at that time, and I didn't know what was happening. I was super oblivious at how successful that first auction was, because I didn't know. I promoted it, and then the auction day came, and then my friends they started bidding on, and it was like, oh, you shouldn't.
Or did you have multiple pieces?
I had 3 pieces.
Okay.
I had the 2 cats, and then like the animated cats, and the one with the blue hair. And yeah, I had those 3 pieces, and then they started bidding on it. I feel like at that time also was kind of the ballroom run. Now that I know about it, like I didn't know, what's happening. Yeah, so it was, and at the same time, I think Joyce had her own auction too running. So that's how we met each other. Like, we were like, what's happening? I don't know. And we are friends to this day. It's been super cool. And yeah, so the auction kept happening, and then one of the pieces went to 45 sol with Nipan. He bought it, the one with the cat, Summer Midi, which is my favorite animation ever. I love that piece. I'm like super happy he got it. And then another one was, I think Papa Momu had it. So Big Brain Gallery. And the other one was acquired by Ghostwriter, Eric. So that's how I met Eric, which now is like, I consider him a good friend, because he's super fan of animation. And yeah, that's how it started. Like, it started with that super awesome auction. I didn't know what was happening, super cool. And then things didn't go as well, I guess. Like, it was like,
it sounds like you had the most ideal start that any new artist can hope for.
Yes, I didn't know, and now I've seen it backwards. Like, yes, it was amazing, but at the same time, it's bad because you have your expectations way too high now.
And
so that was,
and everything needs to still match or exceed it.
Yes. It's good and bad. Like, it's bad because now you're like, oh, so my other work is not as valuable as, like, you are competing with yourself, basically. It was crazy, and yeah, like now I have a better understanding of what NFTs are, like what the market is, the community. Nowadays that I had a bitter like aftertaste after the other pieces seeing that they didn't do as well. I was like, it's happening. Maybe it's me. I don't know. But also I understood that it was the bear market. Like it started rolling around April-ish, June. So yeah, it's been. Now I'm taking it easy, and I'm enjoying the community. Now, even if that sounds at the time that sounded like silly, like what community, like what's no. Now I'm like, yeah, well, actually the community is very important. It's one of the best parts of this, and I didn't know.
Active in the DMs that we share and the service that we share as well. Like your name pops up quite a bit, which is really good to see. So you had your Genesis collection out there. It did really well, and then after that, did you kind of start to release more work? Did you start to have collaborations?
Yes, yeah. Actually, now, so after that, I did another piece called Midnight Midi. It was the same cat, but with a Halloween theme, and I thought it will do very well. And it did do well because it was sold at 10 souls, so that's still very well.
Yeah.
But if you take into account what had happened before, that was very like, what is this? What happened? Like, oh my god! Yeah. But then it is like I met Andre. I don't know. Yeah, you guys know him. He's a collector.
Yep.
Yeah, he's awesome. So it was like, yeah, I got now a new collector who's this awesome guy who also loves animation. So you have now I know that you need to have to keep contact with your collectors, but just for fun. It's just the fact that people are interested in your work is already amazing, because before knowing about NFTs, I have this online store for prints or t-shirts, and I will sell $20 in a year. So it's so to me it's like, wow, if you actually compare it with the big scheme of things, it's going pretty well. So
absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about your style. What made you go, yep, that cat is going to be my thing? Like, how did that establish your style and kind of way of creating art?
Okay, yeah, that cat, I was obsessed with this roller skating. I am still obsessed with the roller skating, even if I don't know how to do it. But I was watching a lot of videos on TikTok, like roller skating girls, and I wanted to do something with that kind of flavor, like summer, I don't know, carefree. And I watched this video, gorilla. Well, I am a super fan of gorillas, so I was watching their stuff, and I got super inspired by. I forgot the name of the video. That's terrible. It's one of the characters is also roller skating around, and I loved it. And yeah, I decided I want to do something with the. Okay, so before that, I saw that character. That character doesn't belong to me. It's there's many rigs characters online for 3D animators to use freely. So it's just the characters come in these T-pose, and what you have to do is animate it. So you have to do your stuff. And I'm good friends with the person who actually made the character. And I told her before doing the launch, minting the pieces, if it was okay with her if I use those pieces, because in a way they're not completely mine, because that character is not mine. That character is hers. So she was like, yeah, sure, use it. I don't mind. Okay. And yeah, that's how I made one of the pieces. And that's why also I haven't made more with that character, because I feel like it's not right. to do it, because it's not something I built from scratch. So I'm like, now I'm doing another project which it's built by me, and I feel way better using my own character. But yeah, so I did those 3 because I told her like last year, I want to do 3 animations with your character because it has 3 outfits, and I just want to use the 3, and that's it. So that's why there's only 3 animations with the character. And I don't know, like the first one I did was one that she's jumping and the colors are changing. That was inspired by anime in general, like quick actions and like mostly intro to anime, like, you know, like they're very dynamic stuff. So I really love that kind of rhythm, like dynamism, quick actions. I love that kind of stuff. So I wanted to try that with a different rig that wasn't like a super realistic stuff like I do at work. So that's how I end up doing that. And yeah, like it's like there's no like an answer of how I end up doing that, like specifically like an inspiration. That's just it happened.
It just come to you and you just start executing, and then if it looks good, you're like, shit, yeah, I'm gonna include that in. Yeah, for sure.
I think it's cool. It's cool hearing that though, because it kind of I think explains that like how you kind of called it a one-hit wonder earlier, like that initial success and then the feeling of decline. But I think what it sounds like what's actually happening is you kind of entered with a with someone else's character and made a mark, but now you've kind of been progressing and figuring out your own sort of IP, I guess, from there. So I think it's just a matter of time until you sort of ramp that back up, because I imagine once you just like, I feel like from watching the work coming out through Twitter and through Formfunction and stuff, like you're getting closer and closer to that, and I wonder what will happen when you get to that point, because I imagine the way you talk about it will be with much more confidence, and like because it's yours, you don't have that sort of just to put words in your mouth, I guess, that guilt feeling of it not being yours, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, so it'd be cool to see how that sort of plays out. I guess.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited about it. Like, sadly, my computer just died. Like, okay, so after that happened with the midnight MIDI piece that didn't go as well as I hope. And before I was doing the Good Morning Kitties, like, because I was like, okay, Maxwell was like, you have to write a daily good morning. I was like, but why? What is that about? Why people are saying good morning? But it's pretty cute now that I think about it. So I started like doing a kitty a day, and that had kind of some traction, and I was pretty happy with them. And then I talked to you actually to look like, hey, do you have any suggestions? How maybe what could I do with this? Have a bunch of this artwork. What did you suggest? What do I do? And then you gave me idea of doing 3 auctions and set a price like from there. So that was super cool. And I kept doing it for a while, and then like for 3 months, and it was like 2 months, but it was pretty cool because they will sold out. Like, even, of course, they are like cheap each, like 0.7 sold, but still I see now that that's still very good. Like selling your stuff every week, that's amazing.
Oh, the consistency,
of
that. And it was hard to get them because you'd always drop them when I was asleep, and then in the morning they'd be gone.
Yeah, you told me about it. yeah. So I was like, oh my god, that actually it's I'm very lucky that this is happening. Like, it was pretty cool. But then I burned myself out. Like, I was, because work started ramping up. Like, it's just in summer, work is always happens. Like, I feel like people want movies to go out in Christmas, so they start like pushing people in summer to get everything done. So I was working a lot, and I was super tired. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna pause these kitties for a while, and I think I'll start again in October. when winter comes and I don't want to go out anymore.
Yeah.
And now like I end up doing like what I'm doing. What I ended up doing afterwards was collaborations. Actually, that's mostly what I've been doing this last months. Like I still need to do the Esther collaboration. I know that's on my head. Like here, I need to do it. Like I need to do Esther.
I'm ready when you are. Absolutely no rush.
I know.
But I'm ready.
You were the first. You were the first person to talk to me about collaboration. Like I remember that you were like down from day one. Like you were like, hey, you want to collaborate? Like yeah, sure. But at the time was super busy. And then I did my first collaboration with Numa, with her Gatenu. And that was bought by Ghostwriter. And then I did the Mask Warrior one with Lawrence. Of course, Lawrence, he's amazing too. Like he was with me day one too. Like he's been always there for me. He's a super supportive guy, and seeing how big his Mask Warriors are now, it's freaking crazy. I can't believe it.
Yeah,
that's one of the craziest things I witnessed happening. It's like the fuck.
Yeah,
I remember us in the little chat. That's gonna rate, and now it's huge. And then that mask sold like really well, and I don't know. And now I'm doing a collaboration for Finkel, the band. Like I don't know if you know them. Like they do music.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're getting really busy after a few couple of months of just not doing much, so it's picking back up.
Yeah, I hope. Yeah, I've been doing just the collabs, but not much because it's been super busy at work. But hopefully this Thursday I'll have my computer back, so I'll get back to the 3D project I'm doing, which hopefully will do very well. I now I learned that you don't have to have your hopes too high because that's not good. Yeah.
So we're starting to wrap up now. Believe it or not, it's already been an hour, and we don't want to take up your time. Yeah.
It's just gone like that. It's so fast.
Yeah.
You've got work. You guys are fun.
It's just so cool just sitting down and just talking to artists, and especially you, like hearing your story.
Thank you.
Your adventure to date has just been really outstanding and inspiring.
Thank you.
One of the things that we'd like to ask artists is that if they have any advice for any kind of up and coming artists or those that want to enter into the space, just what sort of advice them just based off your experience?
Well, I'll give the advice that I will give myself. Like at the time, like I feel like other people have said the same, but they're right. Like it's better to observe in the beginning. Like just get in the community and start maybe posting about your work, and then get to some Discords. All that jazz. Like it sounds boring, but it's true because in the beginning you don't know what's happening. You know the main players then in Solana, so it's like it can be disappointing that you post your the first thing you do is post your work and it doesn't sell. That's super hard, but it's not the right way to get into it. It's better to just start observing, go into spaces. I feel like I'm repeating, but it is the truth. Like go into spaces, hear what people have to say, get into, I work with Formfunction only, so get into their Discord. They're always doing spaces almost every day with Magellan, and he's super friendly. Just hear what they have to say and look around. Like for example, in Formfunction, you can get in and see what's the best-selling artists, the top collectors. Start following them and seeing what they do. That's the best way to get started, I think.
Awesome.
Definitely. Just to add on to that, I would definitely say, because that was one hack that I realized on Formfunction when I saw when they added from collector and creator, the collector thing. I went and followed them, but I also went along and just said hello to each of them. But I didn't say hello with any like reason, with any like output of like, hey, look at my work or anything like that. It was just a very innocent like, hey, how you going kind of thing. It's nice to meet you. Yeah, it was just nice to connect in that way. And I think that really helped me as well, because it kind of like, I don't know if it works with the Twitter algorithm or whatever, but it got like, it got me on their radar, basically.
Yeah, that I should do that. Now that you mentioned that, because I just know a few collectors, like my collectors and some others, and but I feel like right now I'm just hibernating a little bit until I have the new collection ready to go. So I'm still lurking around, like I just don't want to disappear. Then boom.
Definitely. I think style is just it stands out from a crowd, and you can't mistake your style in comparison to someone else. So please take the time you need, and we definitely look forward to seeing a new collection. We can't wait. If someone's trying to find you, someone who's not in our space or in our communities, how can they find you?
I have an Instagram, I have a Twitter account. It's all the same handle, Ckarolit, everywhere. Like it's just Ckarolit, and you can find me, and you can DM me if you want. I'll answer. Just don't chill me your work like, boom, please buy this. And like, no, I won't answer you. I'm sorry. that's just rude. Like, no, you don't do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, it's been so cool having you on. Like, you're literally the 11th recording that we've done, and we still have the same energy as the first recording that we did. It's just been so cool to chat to you and to learn more about your story. And I personally can't wait to get this episode out to see how people receive it, and how your fellow artists kind of take into it as well, because I'm sure whilst you guys have spoken about different things, it's always different when you hear someone's background story, it adds so much more.
Yeah, totally. Like I heard Robbie's and was like, this guy. No, it's super cool you guys are doing this. I love it. So thank you.
Awesome. No, thank you for doing this. Thank you for your time, and thank you so much for being so open with us and for taking us on that journey. We've loved every moment of it.
This has been great getting to
thank you for listening. It was a long journey, so
awesome.